Okay, somebody says they can hear. Maybe restart. You can type, but can you put the slide onto the overall one pager that we always show, so that people who attended our previous, yes, that's right. So when people attended, so for people who didn't attend our previous meetup events, they can at least see what we're up to, what we offer. Okay.
Cindy, while we're waiting, I saw someone someone just raised their hand. Should I allow her to talk?
Sorry, say that again.
Sorry.
Say that again.
I think it's a mistake.
Oh.
No worries. Sorry, I have an allergy today, so I might be a little bit coughing. I will mute myself while you're talking, okay? Cindy, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I think somebody's saying that they can't hear each other or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Can everybody else hear us? I can hear Shirley pretty well. Can everyone else hear me? Okay, so yeah, okay, everybody else can hear. Okay, that's fine. Then it's just Judith. I think you need to restart maybe your computer or just relog back in.
Yeah.
Or make sure you're
log off and use the same link in your email to log in again. So and try to connect your audio. Then I think you should be able to hear us. Okay.
I think there are more people registered. Are we close to the number of registrants, or are we?
Not yet, but I think we can get started now because it's 7.
Okay. Sorry, it's
yeah. Okay, we can get started now.
Yeah, why don't we get started anyways? Oh wow, okay. In this instant, like I see like more people joining. Great. Okay, why don't we get started? I'm pretty sure there are new friends here in this meetup. There are probably, some people we see or we saw in the previous meetups, but I think there are quite a few new people today. So we'll take it a bit slow to cover everything. Okay, so just some house cleaning stuff. Shirley, if you want to move to your first slide. Okay. So today we're talking about multifamily, essentially how you can get around, how you can achieve around 100 to, 350K and plus from a single building. All right. Next one. Some really important house cleaning stuff. Disclaimer, do not rely on this meetup group to make your financial decision. We're just sharing information from our own experience. Yes, we have different licenses. We're mortgage brokers and real estate agent and investors and all of that stuff. But, talk to your trusted advisors and cross-verify everything that we share today for your own learning and for your own decision-making, okay? All right, now that we get that out of the way, let's get started. Shirley, the third one. Yes, okay. So just a little bit about what we do. Okay, so this meetup group is all about passive income. Myself is what you can consider financial free through passive income. And I'm very, very interested in learning all different kinds of passive income streams. So for me personally, there are two buckets of what I do and what I've found. Like every year I actually spend a lot of money just doing R&D on different passive income new techniques. And over the years, only two buckets of things make me money consistently year after year after year. And we serve many clients who are doing the same thing because they learn it from us. And what those two buckets are, one is lending. So we had previous meetup events, which we had recordings on how lending works. You can do private lending, you can do mortgage lending, you can do legal lending. Essentially, you can have 6 or 12 months terms, and you can earn 10% interest, and sometimes interest paid up front. No, Shirley, I think next time you can probably change the term to 6 to 12 months. So right now, primarily we do 6 months lending. Annual rate, interest rate is about 10%. So for anybody who's interested in learning how that works, you can reach out, watch the videos, talk to us, and you can learn a ton. All right. The second bucket is real estate. That's all in the asset bucket. So half of my money is in lending, which makes monthly cash flow or just a bunch of cash flow for me consistently. Whereas my long-term wealth, I put half of my money into real estate asset. I mean, I did other things too, which sometimes work, sometimes didn't. Like I also invest in private equity. I also invest in bunch of different financial vehicles, but most of it is in real estate. So that's why I bucket everything into the asset bucket, the real estate bucket. Okay. And in this asset bucket that you see, I separate out two types. One, the first one will apply to everyone pretty much. Okay. So if you can qualify for a mortgage at a typical bank, you can do 5 to 10 cash flow positive houses, which I'm primarily talking about duplexes. And you can generate duplex or triplex, like garden suite. And you can generate between 40,000 to 70,000 rental income, and your ROI is 10% plus, and you can like max out around 10 of those assets. Okay, this is what you can do if you still have qualification room with a bank. Beyond that, after you absolutely max your mortgage room out with A lender and B lender, you then go to commercial. You then go to multifamilies, right? You can have rental income 150 all the way up to, depending on how many units you have. And your ROI will be a bit lower, which I'll touch on that because expenses are higher, because the ROI is higher, the LTV is lower, etc. But you can buy unlimited because you no longer qualifies mortgage on your income. The building qualifies for itself, so you can buy unlimited. All right. So if you have, and this is what I'm going to talk about in subsequent slides, but here, if you have 200K cash or below, like anything less than 200K, I recommend you consider lending opportunities. If you have anything above 200K, I recommend you consider, getting a real estate. If you have over 500,000 or $1 million plus, I recommend you looking at multifamily, right? And we're going to talk about that in details in subsequent slides. And most of what I do is a mix. So I put some money in lending and some in real estate. So more liquid cash in lending and less liquid cash in real estate. All right. I think that all makes sense. So let's move on. Oh, if you guys have any questions, maybe type it out or wait until I'm done my slides and then you can ask all your questions. Maybe let's do that. Yeah. And you can raise your hands at the end of it so we can have an open mic and, free discussion. So bear with me for maybe half an hour. Let me fly through these slides. All right. Okay. Now, just break down what I just said for slide 3 a little bit more in details. All right. So Shirley, if you go back to slide 3, the third one, yeah. So we're not going to talk about lending today because we talked about it before. For anybody who's interested in cash flow, just reach out to us. We are going to talk about the asset type today on the right-hand side. And on the right-hand side, we're going to focus on the commercial mortgage, which is on the right. So Shirley, you can circle, maybe use your cursor to circle around which part we're talking about. It's the commercial mortgage. It's the multifamily, right? That's the part we're going to talk about today. Okay. So now go to the next slide. We're going to break that down a little bit for you guys. Okay. So what we're going to talk about today is this one. Is the last step is step 4, generational wealth. This is what we're going to talk about today. All right. But for people who haven't really attended our meetup prior to today, so I'm gonna give you a little bit background. Sorry, Shirley, are you changing the slides on the fly? I can see that you're changing the slide on the fly. Okay, so maybe you're doing that on purpose? Okay, all right, no, that's good. Okay, no, that's very clear. That's what we're gonna talk about today, okay? So the first step, if you have, as I said, if you have less than 200K, like I recommend you really just look at GSEs and lending opportunities, you get cash flow, right? Because you can't really meaningfully get into real estate. But once you have 200K plus, the first thing I think I recommend you do is that please buy yourself a primary residence. Just using the tax benefit itself based on historical data, if you just keep refining, get money out, your ROI is going to be 40% and above, right? If you can buy your primary residence and qualify at a bank, not a B lender, but an A lender, then that's the first thing you do. Once you bought your primary residence, then you buy cash flow positive duplex and triplex. You can buy 5 to 10 of them. I know when you go to talk to the bank, most likely people say, no, you can qualify for mortgages. Okay, so there's a very specialized lending group in a lender bank, like your normal RBC, BMO Scotia, whatever. There's special rules about qualification. If you buy the legal duplex, the legal triplex, whatever, which I shared with you guys before, which you guys can reach out for recordings, whatever, they qualify for special mortgage rules. You can actually buy 5 to 10 of them without increasing your income, because in that special program, your rental income is almost 100% calculated into the debt ratio. Okay, if you have around 300K to 400K, or if you have a friend and 2 of you come together, you have like 300K or 400K, and you still have mortgage room at a bank, at an A lender, you can get in this. Like step 2, you just buy 5 to 10 of them until you max out your room with an A lender. Then you move to number 3, which is you use a B lender. That your down pay needs to be higher, so you probably have to put a $450 or so to buy a legal duplex or triplex, etc. But you can still buy them, right? And once you exhaust that, it comes to step number 4, which is what we're talking about today, which is generational wealth. You can buy unlimited multifamily buildings because you are no longer limited by your income to qualify for mortgages. You're getting commercial mortgages. The building will qualify on its own. All right. The required principal is higher. But we're going to show you the numbers today anyways. So, all right. If I think there's only one question, which is, are we going to share the slide later on? For people who are interested, please reach out to us. We will share you the playbacks, okay? But what we're sharing today is like really valuable stuff. And you're going to see our real numbers because we own some buildings, which we're going to share with you the numbers as well, real case studies. So I just don't want these to be like flying around, like, you know, like just flying around like randomly, right? So for serious people who are interested, reach out to us afterwards and we'll send you the playback. Okay, if there's no more questions, we can continue. Yes, we will share our email address at the end, all right? Yeah. And just so you know, like we usually get a lot of booking for discovery calls with us after meetups. So just email us and we'll schedule time with you to go over your personal specific information to recommend what's best for you. And we don't charge for that. The initial meeting, we don't charge for that. So, you know. Okay, next. Can we go to next? Okay, so for people who want our recordings, please email us. Don't leave messages here. We're not gonna check messages afterwards. Just send us an email. If it's not even worth your effort to send us an email, I don't think you're serious, okay? All right. Okay, next. What we're gonna talk about today is multifamily. We're gonna tell you where we think, what and how to buy. And we're gonna talk about what we typically look for and, you know, make notes of that, because if you're buying on your own, like you should, you know, pay attention to those. And also we're gonna illustrate with a 6-unit apartment building as example with all the detailed numbers, okay? And we're gonna talk to you about when you actually operate these buildings, what should you do? And we're gonna show you real case studies and using our own portfolio numbers. Like we're going to show you some of the buildings in our own portfolio and the numbers, and then open mic, right? Next. Okay, what is the multifamily? Like a lot of people are actually confused. So if you buy a single house, duplex, triplex, or fourplex, you can still qualify for residential mortgages, okay? If you have in a building of 5 units or above, you get into the commercial space. So strictly speaking, multifamily is like 5 units or up, okay? But 5 units and 6 units are usually very small for people. So usually when people talk about multifamily, they're really talking about like 8 units above, you know, 6 units above, whatever. But just for the sake of the definition, 4plex and like 5plex and up is what qualifies as multifamily in the commercial space, in the commercial loan. Yeah. All right. So multifamily usually are referred to apartment buildings. They're not condos. They're not. They are apartment buildings, which are not luxuries, right? They're affordable apartment buildings, typically what you see. All right. And I actually grew up in one of those multifamily buildings. So it's actually interesting that I'm in the industry nowadays. Anyways, okay. Next. So what, where, and how to buy. Okay. Before we talk about any of that, I want you guys to understand what is a cap rate. I'm sure some of you already understood it, but just bear with me because honestly, I'm having real estate conversations with anybody that comes my way, and I often find I better not assume that people understand what a cap rate is. So please bear with me, okay? You know how people evaluate houses? You get comparables, you get your neighbors' values, and that's how you compare, right? In commercial real estate, especially when in multifamily, it's not about comparables. Well, it is somewhat about comparables, but it's really about cap rate, because think about it. You cannot compare a building of 6 units to a unit of 50 units. you definitely know that the building with 50 units is probably more expensive than the 6-unit building, right? How is that determined? So cap rate, which is capitalization rate, is a key in calculating how much the building's worth. What's the formula? It's your net operating income divided by the value of the current market value of the building. So simply put, I know like I have to use examples because like most people are lost when I talk about this. Okay. Simply put, if the building is $1 million today, and the cap rate is 5%, you know what that means? That means your cash on cash return is the cap rate is 5%, which means the building generates net operating income of $50,000 a year. Reverse it. How much is this building worth? If you know this building generates $50,000 a year, which includes the rent minus all your expense, but it does not deduct mortgages because financing is different. Therefore, you do not deduct any financing charges, okay? So it's your rental income and all your income minus your expense, excluding mortgages or financing charges. If you know that is how much, $50,000. $50,000. That is your net operating income, and you know the cap rate is 5%. You use 50,000 and divided by 5%. Can somebody tell me what that number is? How much is the building worth? Type it out. Who's good at math? Okay, so I'll give you the answer. I haven't seen anything coming through, but I'll give you the answer. It's 50,000 divided by 5%, which is $1 million. Did I do the math right? I think I did the math right. Yeah. Yes, that's right. Okay. All right. So let me explain different ways so that I can make sure people understand this, because if you can understand cap rate, that's some foundation for the subsequent slides, because I can show you how you make money on multifamily, okay? So net operating income is your rental income minus your property management, manage your gas, your hydro, your utilities, manage your insurance, manage your tax, manage your maintenance and repairs. Okay, that's your net operating income. And I can tell you, before the pandemic, the cap rate is usually between 3.5 to 4. So 4%, like in Toronto and surrounding. Toronto is lower, but you know, surrounding areas are a bit higher. All right. Right now, it's between 4 to 5%. So the market tanked a little bit, so the cap rate has gone up a little bit. All right. So you use your net operating income, which is your rental minus your expense. Then you divide the cap rate. You get the, you know, how much the building is worth, roughly. Somebody's asking, is that 4% to 5% GTA? GTA right now is actually lower than that still. I just saw a report. It's like between like 3.5 to like 4 point something. It's not 5 yet. If you can find something 5% in GTA in good area, grab it right away, because that's below market value. Okay, but you just have to be really careful whether that's real, cap rate or not, because I usually see agents when they post ads, they only show you the minimum bare bone expense. They don't include a bunch of expense that you don't know unless you start operating multifamily buildings. So you always have to budget for those. Anyways, let's look at the slide. All right. Now that you know the property value is the NOI divided by cap rate, this means the value of the building is affected by NOI instead of comparable buildings, sale price. What does that mean? It's very important. It means the more you generate income, the more the building's worth. And just by how much more, I'm going to break it down for you, okay? So, for example, in this example, if it's a building with 100 units, if you just increase each unit rent by $30 a month, the building's annual rental income is increased by $30 times 100 units times 12 months, which is $36,000 a year, okay? If you just lower the cost of each unit by $20 a month, then you saved, then the annual operating cost is saved by $20 minus 100 units minus 12 months is 24,000, okay? Then you add the 36,000 plus the 24,000, so you add the actual revenue and then the cost savings together, 36,000 plus 24,000 is what? 60,000. You just managed to get 60,000 to extra 60,000 in your NOI. Okay, let's say if it's a 5 cap, you know how much the building's worth more now? Can anybody calculate that? Oh, sorry, I saw it. It's actually on the slide. Okay, I'll read it out too. It's the $60,000 increase divided by 5% cap rate. You just increased your building value by 1.2 million by increasing the NOI by $60,000. Do you follow that? That is the magic in multifamily. Okay, so let's dig deeper. For C-rated apartment building, C means it's not that good. Okay, with 100 units, let's say the selling price is around 20 million. Let's say we need 25% down payment, which means the down payment is 5 million. Okay, what percentage is the 1.2 compared to the down payment? So 1.2 divided by 5, right? So 1.2 divided by 5 is, somebody said 24? I think that's about right. Yes, that's right. You literally just through operation, saving $30 here, $30 there, increasing rent, like decrease, like saving $20 and increase the rent by $30, like literally $50 a month per unit get you 24% return and increase the building by 1.2 million. That is how multifamily is operated. That's why people are saying, can you do next slide, Shirley? That's why people are saying it's key to increase your revenue in multifamily because of cash flow. Actually, that's not entirely right. Why people keep saying you have to, manage your rent, you have to increase rent in multifamily because of cash flow. It's only half right. The truth to that is you need to increase your rent to generate more cash flow because that is the easiest way to increase your net operating income. And you use that divided by cap rate, you just multiplied the increasing value to your building. That is why people are saying the rent is so important. It's not that you get that, $10 or $20 cash flow per month. It's because you just increase the value of your building by 20-fold, for example, in this case. See, for example, like this one is very clear. If you set the cap rate at 5%, then $1 increase in net operating income in NOI will bring $1 divided by 5%, which is $20 increase in building value. That's a 20-fold increase, guys. That's why you get into multifamily and increase income. It's because the cap rate will amplify your increase in your rent, in your income, right? Does everyone understand that? Or if did I lose anyone? This is the key for the discussion afterwards. Okay, seems like people all understand this. No questions. Okay, all right. Okay, so what to buy. This is I'm not going to talk too much about this because everybody knows the benefit of getting into real estate. It's just for multifamily, it's even better because you can actually do a lot of forced appreciation by increasing the income, which means you can force the building to appreciate, and you can profit in up and down markets, because this is what we see. Like literally, the market's down, but the rent keeps going up, and even though housing market's down nowadays, our building still keeps going up because we increase the NOI, which means we just increase the building value. Okay. All right. So let's move on to next slide. Okay, where to buy? This is so because we actually buy quite a lot. We buy duplex, we convert duplex, we do triplex, we build garden suite, we do fourplex, and we own some multifamily buildings. We do units from 6 to 20 units. So we have a model to figure out where we want to buy, and if you want to do a model yourself, like you should consider these criteria, right? Like population growth, you really want to focus on, you know, cities with population growth and like they're not depleting people, and you would want buying relatively big cities. You know, if you have the means to buy there, yeah, do that. Land scarcity, lack of supply. We talk about, like, everybody should, I'm assuming everybody's from Toronto, so you know about the green belt and all that stuff. So on this map, what we laid out in our model is that we look at regional employment rate, we look at regional cap rate, we look at regional population growth, and we look at regional, like, price wise, etc. Right? We lay all those together, and we take Toronto downtown as the center, and we go out from there to land at a sweet spot where it's the it's how do I say that? We pick areas where it's the same price. Let me put it differently. Like, we pick areas where in the same price range, it's the closest to Toronto. Yeah, I hope I explained that right. So we look at places where if it's the same distance to Toronto, we pick the cheapest or the most, or the ratio is the best. So we laid all the criteria together and funnel through it, and within the same price, we pick the one that's closest to Toronto. With the same distance to Toronto, we pick the most affordable price. I hope I explained that well. And they all landed in the same place, right? So our tier 1 is like, so we do Durham, Hamilton, Barrie, and Kitchener-Waterloo and St. Catherine as a second tier. Like, we do Toronto, Durham, Barrie, Hamilton, and we got in multifamily in Hamilton. We now have Hamilton, Toronto, Durham, and Barrie. And for beginners, like, the reason why if you talk to people who actually own multifamily, most of them actually started in Hamilton. I'm not sure if you understand why, but because Hamilton was a steel town, so they have a lot of inventory for multifamily buildings because that's what the workers needed back then. And so Hamilton had a lot of inventories. Durham, not a lot of inventories. Barrie, even less, right? And Toronto, there's a lot of inventory, but they're expensive. So Hamilton was your, like, entry point in multifamily, at least when I started. I think that's still the case today. All right. So if you wonder where to buy, like, Hamilton is probably your best bet to start with. But if you have the financial means, definitely I would recommend go Toronto or Durham. Even like East York, like, stay to as close to Toronto as possible, within the budget, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to next. Okay. So when we do it, we usually do the value add approach. Okay. because of what I just told you about cap rate. We typically don't buy stabilized buildings, which means all the units have already been turned over, the rents have been stabilized, it's already market rent, there isn't much value to add. We're still looking for a bit of return. So what we do is we buy buildings. Okay, we went through different stages, different phases. The first phase, when we got into it, we didn't know what we got into because we're like, oh, this is so easy, just renovate, right? So we got the shittiest buildings on the street, right? Because that's where you have the most room to improve and you can get the most profit. That's just logical, right? So that's how we started. Eventually, after a few years, we started, divesting those ones off because yes, sure, there's a lot of money to be made, but oh boy, it's something that I don't want to spend my days like 24/7 doing. It's just too much headache. So we end up today, we're buying buildings which is sometimes half or more than half stabilized. You only have a few units which needs to be worked on, and you generally buy at a discount, so you're already getting wings when you bought, and then you just have to operate really well and hold it for you to turn over the tenants and increase the value. All right. So, long story short, when you buy, look, I suggest you buy something close. If it's in Toronto or surrounding, like close to Toronto, I suggest if you buy something on the market, close to 4. Above 4 cap rate, that'd be a deal. I know on private deals, sometimes you can buy 5. That's great. You just have to know what you get yourself into. But like 5, it's awesome, right? If you're getting 6, which is hard to believe, there are 6 cap rate deals right now. But hey, there may be something that other people are not okay and you're okay with. So, buy at the right cap rate. Anything I would say before 3.5. Anything above, I would say 3.5 in good locations and good price. Like I think that's good. You won't lose money, unless the Fed or the Central Bank of Canada hikes the rate like crazy that nobody predicts. Then you just wait. So when you buy, buy at the right cap rate, right? And if you are new, please do not buy the shittiest building on the street. You're gonna really regret it, like I did. What you want to buy is the building that is not fully stabilized, so there are still few new units. You can turn over the rents, and they're still it's still below market rent. You can still turn them over. But if every single unit is like significantly below market rent, it's going to be hard to turn them over because they've been there for a long time. They're lifers. Like you can't get them out. Also, you have to do big rental, which means, budget for 30 to 50K per unit, right? That's a lot of money if you have to renovate every single unit. So if you're just new, like honestly, buy something that's balanced, right? You have a few units you can capitalize on the below market rent, but everything else is stabilized. So your operation wise is not too crazy. What's the typical mortgage rate the days for commercial mortgages? Really good question. It depends on if you go CMHC or if you go just a regular commercial lender. Shirley, do you want to just give a range?
Yeah, if you're going to CMHC, you're looking about around 5% right now. And if you're looking at a conventional commercial mortgage, you're probably looking at between 6 to 6.5%.
All right. Cool. Okay.
But I would strongly suggest you talk with the mortgage agent from the bank you're looking for, so they can provide with you
Make
with
sure
the most recent one.
Make sure they do multifamily buildings. Don't just get any mortgage. Like, for example, we have mortgage license because we talked to so many banks and we found they actually don't understand how multifamily works. So we end up getting our own license, well, for other reasons too, because we do lending too. So you have to talk to the people in the commercial, like in the commercial mortgage, like people who actually understand multifamily financing and people who know CMHC, because CMHC program, they just came out with a new program last March. And like, I feel like even people who do commercial mortgage don't understand how it works. Like there's a different rules about it. You can get good financing terms from CMHC based on the new program if you qualify. You have to talk to the right people. Like they have to understand how how multifamily works. If you give them the rent roll and the utilities tax and the insurance, and if they cannot tell you how much they're willing to loan at what rate within 24 hours, they probably don't know what they're talking about. Okay. Anyways, so if you need help with that, we can help too because we're licensed too. Just some shameless self-promotion there. Okay. Let's talk about, yeah, okay. You buy in those areas. I mean, do your own research, but those areas I can recommend. And you buy within cap rate, and you buy a balanced building where you don't have to do a lot of work. You just have a few units turnover. But if you want some profit, like don't buy a fully stabilized building. Buy like half or 2/3 stabilized building, so you still have some below market rent. Okay, then you work with your team or us or other people to turn the units over so you can actually renovate and remarket the unit for market rent. And then you increase the rent, then you increase the value, then you go to your banker and refinance the asset and get some cash out and keep buying. This is just a burst strategy on, on the residential properties. You apply that to commercial. You apply to multifamily. Same stuff. All right, and then just repeat. Does that make sense? Can no questions so far? Okay. I see somebody else. Oh, David. Okay. When you're purchasing multifamily, can you kick out the tenants to renovate? Oh my goodness. This is a mouthful, but I can briefly touch on it. There are 4 strategies that you can use where it's all lawful. We're not talking about the unlawful, the slum landlord stuff, which you usually see on TV, whatever. We don't do that. There are 4 strategies which are all lawful that you can use, right? The short answer to no, you cannot just evict them because you want to renovate, because by law, like you have to rent it back to them, right? For almost the same price. There's a process you have to go through. So there are different ways to do it. So you could do, David's asking, then why buy it? Okay, so there are different ways to do it. There's cash for keys, right? You budget that because paying them off to renovate it and increase your market rent will get you much, much more money than the money you paid them. So a lot of people do cash for keys. We do cash for keys too. Okay, so that works. You also do what we call a stay and rent. So you artificially increase the rent by giving them cash for keys, but they don't leave, right? And there are other strategies. You can get them on payment plan, and you can evict them, which is lawful. And you can evict them on other lawful basis, this is an art more than a science. After you operate it for a few years, you will understand. There are many ways to turn it over. It's not guaranteed, but it works in most cases. All right. Okay. That's why people still buy multifamily, and actually more and more people start buying multifamily. Okay, somebody asked, when you mentioned you bought really shitty buildings before, what are some hidden expenses that you didn't predict? We will save that for later. We'll talk about real cases, and remind me when we go through the numbers, because yes, yeah, there are a lot of hidden expenses, such as, I'll give example. We were on Toronto Star and Hamilton newspaper, like local newspaper, 5 times because we were going through eviction. And there were like human rights organizations protesting in the front lawn of our buildings. Like that happened. And like we ended up having to go with the cops to evict people who are on drugs. And you know, we had to witness, we had to see people who were high on drugs and deliver a baby in the bathtub. Like, just, I'm not even talking about financial damage. This is all emotional damage that you have to go through. And the financial damage is, oh my goodness, like they trash a unit so easily. They rack up the utility bill so easily. They call the cops on you. They call the city on you all the time. Like, just crazy stuff. Yeah. All right. Okay, let's look at our acquisition criteria. So what we ask ourselves is, okay, is there significant room for value add, right? Are there units with lower in the market rent? Number 2 is actually community conversion. Means this is what we did a couple times. Like we don't have to change the structure, but we convert like a bachelor into 1 bedroom, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom. Just by doing that, like you don't have to spend a lot of money, but just by putting a bedroom there, you are increasing a couple $100 per unit, which is significant when you divide it by cash, or when you divide that by cap rate. Okay. And also, once we stabilize, can we have a positive cash flow for the building? And also, is the building within our targeted areas? Like, is it too far from Toronto, or is it in the area that I want to buy? And in the end, when we calculate ROI, does it meet our threshold, right? So essentially, we look at location, we look at positive cash flow, we look at the purchase price, and we look at whether we can convert, and we want to have reasonable, normal people as tenants, not crazy stuff, right? So, any questions on that? If not, we'll move on. Can we move on? Shirley? Yeah. Okay. So this is I like this slide because I talk about this, like, you know, in single families, in duplex, and multifamily buildings. Like, you literally start with one, and eventually you're gonna build enough equity, you're gonna increase it enough, so you're gonna keep refinancing out with the money, you keep buying another one, just repeat the process, right? Eventually you're gonna retire, you're gonna sell half of it, just live off the other half. Like, it's really, if you start with one, and before you know it, you're gonna be financial free. Okay. All right. Next. Okay. What are the key points to pick multifamily, like to buy one, to choose one? Okay. So these are the things we look at. Sometimes people are more relaxed in this, because I know some people, they don't care whether it's retrofit or it's purpose built. We just want a purpose built. But you know, you can take this for a grain of salt. You can modify it to your own liking. Everybody's different. We like to be super safe. So like, this is our criteria. So we only buy purpose built, legal. We sometimes bought legal non-conforming. We do not buy retrofit. We absolutely do not touch illegal buildings. Okay, we only buy purpose built. We don't even buy legal non-conforming anymore. We just buy purpose built. Okay. The other thing is, how many units have lifers there? If it's too many, we won't touch it. If it's 1 or 2, and you know, if the rent is still significantly below market, and if they're old enough, we'll consider it. We'll consider buying it, right? How many of them are already at LTV? If it's too much, then you know, it's hard. If it's not that much, then it's normal. Like a building, you're guaranteed to have some M4, right? And also, if there are ongoing litigation, we got into that before, and that was not disclosed on time. So disclosed, literally the lawyers found it out beforehand. So not pretty. So don't get into building where there's litigation, right? If you can get something between 3.5 to 4.5, you know, depending on the area, you know, close to Toronto or in Toronto, I don't think you will lose money unless the interest rate goes crazy, right? Okay, NOI, you know, check your rent rolls, ongoing expense, check location, check vacancies, very important. In sometimes we bought something in the area that we thought it was okay, and turns out not really. Also, you have to do a ESA when you buy multifamily buildings, and sometimes when ESA is environmental report, right? When it comes back, you have to do a phase 2. Phase 2, just the report itself will cost you like something like between $20,000 to $50,000, and to meet it to fix the environmental issues, like you have to spend a lot of big money. We had to spend like over 6 figures to fix environmental issues on some of our buildings. So it's crazy. So for sure, get our ESA, make sure it's a clean ESA, okay? Okay, when you close a multi-family building, what should you pay attention to? Closing time. Like honestly, if you work with somebody who doesn't know multifamily, they can probably tell you, oh, mortgage loan, CMHC loan, oh, it's okay, it's the normal processing time. No, that's a lie. That's not true. CMHC took up to 6 months. You're gonna be dead if you go that route and only have a closing time of 3 months. Like you're gonna be dead. Okay, so make sure you understand how long it's gonna take to get your financing, right? Yeah. Honestly, like agents, brokers, a lot of them think they know stuff and they just tell their clients, that's their experience. But Jesus Christ, I've seen, because we do private lending too. So we have many lenders, multifamily buyers come to us. Okay, we're one of the few that actually lends on multifamily because we understand how to operate multifamily. So we're able to lend money on multifamily. So I can't tell you how many applications we've got by crying borrowers who have a closing date on a multifamily building and they're not getting the money from the bank. Like literally they just found out. So they have to get a bridge loan from us. Like it's crazy. Just don't put yourself in that situation, okay? All right, due diligence. You have to do inspection, ESA, appraisal, etc. Like especially ESA and inspection, like multifamily buildings, be careful, okay? Renovation, please budget enough, because you're dealing with a house, change a few windows, doesn't matter. But if you have like 10 units, 20 units, 30 units, it adds up. Make sure you have your budget done, like have your contractor go through every single unit so you actually understand how much cash you have to budget for. Can't stress that enough, because we also have borrowers who are short on funds come to us because they didn't budget enough. All right. Okay, so you have to review all the maintenance history, property tax, insurance, blah, blah, and lease, every single lease, and the estoppel letters and everything with your lawyer and with your agents carefully. Make sure you work with somebody who actually knows multifamily. Make sure you work with your lawyer who actually do commercial buildings. Like, I even had a situation where we were closing a deal and the deal was not closing. Turns out the lawyer lied to us. She never did multifamily building before. Anyways, so just many, many, many lessons in the whole journey. All right. Operational key. Okay, Shirley, do you want to talk about it? Because you leave and brief this.
Sure, no problem. Well, while operating a multifamily building, there are a couple of key factors you need to pay attention to. The first priority is cash flow, because you may see when you purchase a property, you are anticipating to get the exact same cash flow, which is same as when you purchased it. However, when upcoming vacant units come to you and you actually is losing 1 unit or 2 units for a couple of months, that will hardly affect your cash flow, because you have to make the mortgage payment and all expenses every single month. Okay, so be careful monitoring your cash flow. If there's any unexpected expense, you have to talk with your property manager or accountant to find out why you're spending more. Like since last year, we noticed the gas bill we're actually paying much higher than the previous 2 to 3 years. Is it something like on euro or or any water leakage caused the higher water bill, you need to monitor very carefully. Okay. And the vacancy rate, like I said, if there's any upcoming vacant units, we always recommend all the owners to re-rent it as soon as you know it's becoming vacant, not wait until it is vacant already. Okay. At least people would budget for 30 to 60 days to re-rent a unit, right? And according to the standard procedure, all the tenants who decide to leave the units, they need to give at least 60 days notice in advance. So starting from the day that you receive the notice, we highly recommend all the owner to start advertising that unit. Okay. And because that would affect your cash flow heavily. And another thing is the property management. Cindy and I have been through a lot of property management companies. Well, what we can say is that you have to do your own due diligence of a property management company to find out what they are actually experienced at. Are they good at finding traders? Are they good at doing, filing to LTV, and do they have experienced paralegal to assist their work and file the letters to LTV on time? Everything that property management does could screw you up, so be very careful while dealing with them. Okay. And I just saw one question here. How do you going to re-rent a unit when the current live are you referring to if you're re-rented and it needs to be rent? Okay, yes, and he just replied, sorry. Okay, so I will continue. Renovation, choose a rental appliance or purchase new. Like I said on the last page, we discussed about the larger cost while maintaining a multifamily building. One is HVAC. Imagine if you are supporting like 18 units or 20 units, like large multifamily building, at least you would need to get 3 to 4 HVAC appliances at the same time, right? So if you choose to rent one, you need to count that cost into your cash flow, and because it's going to be monthly expense, right? And or you reserve the fund to purchase new, and well, the lifespan is fixed for all these appliances. So if it's upcoming to be like the end, almost the end of the lifespan, you have to budget enough money to buy one or rent one, okay, and count that into your cash flow. Compare the option carefully, do your own due diligence of the contractor, make sure all the work has been done properly and legally. As far as I know, a lot of multifamily building the contractors, they did the work like not properly, or next time when the property manager, they find it out, when they need to re-rent it, they have to do the work again. So that's kind of thing you definitely want to avoid. Okay. So the last one is prepare for the refinance. Like Cindy said in the previous slides, one key revenue of the important revenue stream of holding a multifamily is that once you refinance, because the rent increased and then the value increased too, so you can qualify for refinance, then actually you can take out more equity out to pay your capital. So in that case, you better monitor the interest rate of commercial mortgage, especially. I would emphasize again, it's a commercial mortgage. Monitor the interest rate of the commercial mortgage. Find the lender fits in your criteria better to do the refinance for you for this building. Prepare the necessary documents required in advance. For example, most lenders, they would need the up-to-date rent roll, all the newest leases, and the financial statement produced by accountant. So this kind of things you need to budget in your annual expense too. but a lot of people, they won't label it out as a regular expense. Okay.
Just one thing to add, like the commercial mortgage rate is based on bond rate. Like you have to figure out what a bond rate is, and they will add a little bit of a spread. So the rate is different than residential mortgage. Okay. All right. If no questions, we'll move on. Okay. So what do your numbers look like? We did up 3 areas. So it's Toronto, and then Hamilton, and then Oshawa. So we're gonna just walk you through that briefly, okay? So, and we break each scenario into based on different lenders. So you got your A lender, which is your CIBC, TD, National, BMO, etc., and your B lender, which is HTC Equitable, and then finally CMHC, right, which is a Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation, which is the most preferred lender in multifamily space because they give you the highest amortization, and usually the rates are lower. Okay, how to qualify for CMHC? Well, that's a loaded question that I cannot explain in 1 or 2 sentences. If you're interested, reach out to us afterwards, and we'll book a call. But there's no way we can explain that here. That's too much of a question. Yeah. All right. So, so for example, if it's a 16-unit multifamily in Toronto, roughly about 2.7 mil, 3.75 cap rate. Okay. So rental, let's say half of it is 2-bedroom, half of it is 1-bed. Okay, 2-bed, you're probably renting 2,200 easily each, and 1-bed you're renting 1,850 easily each, right? So your annual income is about 145. Okay, I'm just looking at the left side with the assumptions, and then we're gonna move to right side. So surely maybe you can just use your cursor, guide everyone, right? So we're here. So annual income roughly about 145, right? Okay, then estimated operational expense. This is to assume that everything's normal, okay? So property tax, you got probably 70K, property insurance, probably 12K, utilities, probably 14K, and expense 43, okay? That's the assumption, which is very normal, right? Like there's no like big ticket items that you can look for. The rents are very conservative. The purchase price is right, is just about right. The cap rate is just about right. So that's the assumption we're making, right? It's a 6-unit in Toronto. All right. So let's look at how the number looks. Okay. So the first one is you are going with the regular commercial lenders, right? Your CIBC, TD, National, blah, blah. So actually, if you can move a cursor over it so people know which option we're talking about. Great. Okay. Now, look at the LTV. It's only 30%. That means these banks, based on the current 6.5% rate, fixed 5 years loan, you have to put down 2 million as a down payment. They will only lend you 700K. Isn't it shocking? Most people don't tell you that. But when you start buying, that's the reality you're going to face, right? You really need a lot of money to play the multifamily game, or you have a lot of rich friends and you get together and play the multifamily game, okay? So your mortgage per month is about 5,000, land transfer is about 100K. You should have a few months of reserve funds, which we all listed here. So your down pay is about 1.87. Like, so really your short-term fund needed is about 2 million. I don't know, Shirley, but you can maybe use your cursor to follow where, like to follow, you know, what I was saying so people can understand, because I think I'm talking about the numbers a bit too quickly, right? Okay, so like you don't have to circle it, you just have to show them like where we, like which column we're talking about, right? Okay, so let's say you have that much money, and let's say let's just say annual appreciation is 5%, right? Okay, so when you exit, you're estimated to exit at around 3.5. You sell at a cap rate of, let's say, 3.35, right? And then we calculated your outstanding mortgage balance at the time. then your it's cash flow positive. I don't know if we listed out the cash flow per month, but it's oh, okay, cash flow per month is about 3,000. That's great. See, I need your cursor, otherwise I'm gonna be lost too. All right, and in the end, you are roughly looking at estimated about 650 profit in 5 years. All right. Okay, next one. Okay, no question. We'll move. If there's no question, we'll move to next one. Then you're looking at the B lenders, right? You are able to get a higher LTV, which is maybe 40%, but their rate is going to kill you. It's 8.5% fixed 5 years, right? That's the current rate right now. Pretty shocking, right? So that means you need about 1.77 million as down payment to pay for all the expenses. Your cash flow per month is like $100, like, which is nothing. And same appreciation, same whatever, same sell cap. At the end of the 5 year, you're probably looking at about 400K profit. All right, move on to next. So commercial lenders, now you finally get to CMHC. You can get like 50%, let's say, right? Your rate is 4.5, fixed 5 years. They can amortize you to 40 years. That's great. Up to 40 years, right? Up to 40 years, depending on the appraisal report. So after all the expense, whatever, so your monthly cash flow is about 2,500. You need to put down about 1.5 million to get into this 6-unit building, okay? And your profit is going to be around 600K in 5 years, roughly. Okay, that's why we don't usually buy in Toronto, because people who buy in Toronto usually has a lot of money. They just can't buy anything else. They just want to park their money somewhere. They don't really care about the return, but they want something that's really defensive. So they're not looking for return. They're looking for not lose money. That's why they don't mind parking a large sum of money in Toronto multifamily buildings. All right. So that's Toronto. If no questions, we'll continue. Okay. So let's look at the Hamilton. All of a sudden, comparing Toronto is getting better, right? So let's say Hamilton, you're looking at 4 cap. Let's say you're looking at 4 cap. Like we didn't even buy things at 4 cap. We bought things at like a 3 point something cap, but that's about right. Like 6-unit building in Hamilton. So let me just quickly calculate actually. I would say, Shirley, actually, in Hamilton, it's about 1.5. Let's budget $250,000 per door, which is sort of the market price right now. So in Hamilton, let's change that to 1.5. Anyways, so I will continue. So 2 bed is about $1,850 each, and 1 bed is $1,450. And your annual income is just over 100K. You get an expense, and you get a whatever. That's all pretty realistic. All right. So I don't know, Shirley, if you can quickly change your numbers on the short-term fund needed based on the 1.5 instead of 2. I'm not sure if you can do that.
All the things are fixed here, so I won't be
let me
able
just quickly do it. So if it's 1.5 and the A bank is lending you 34%, then you're looking at, let's say, so you're actually looking at just under $1 million. So the short fund needed, you just need $1 million to get into Hamilton with a bank, right? You see that 1.4? Yeah, that's one. That's $1 million. Yeah. Okay. Now, if you just follow the same logic, your forecasted profit probably like let's say $500,000, 5 years. Okay, you start at close to your 4 cap, right? Okay. Let's move on to the B lenders. So let me just calculate that very quickly as well. 1.4 times. Yeah. So now you're looking at around like 900K for the funds you needed to get into sixplex. And based on the same logic, appreciation, exit value, etc., and cap rate, you're looking at probably close to 400K profit in about 5 years. And if you can go to CMC, then you just need, let me just quickly calculate. You just need something like something around 700K, right? You get a friend together. If you can do it yourself, like get a friend together, 700K, then you get into six unit. All right. And all of these are cash flow positive, even in current rate, because your down pay is so large. And in 5 years, you're making about $500,000, right? So here you're making more money and you're using less down pay. So you start to see how Hamilton is a good entry point for people who got into multifamily, right? Okay. Okay, there are two good questions. Does Hamilton have the same annual appreciation in Toronto? So here's the thing, Hamilton actually appreciated higher than Toronto in the past few years, but it comes and goes, like it's cyclical. So we just used 5% across all, but really what we really used was the cap rate because we forecasted how much rent is gonna increase, and then there's an expense ratio and use that. That's more accurate, and that comes close to what this appreciation number came about. So that's why, for the simplicity's sake, we just use 5%. Okay. The last question is, why did LTV change? LTV changed because each bank have different underwriting criteria. So for your typical A bank commercial lenders, their criteria is more stringent, therefore they're giving you less loan amount. Whereas commercial lenders in they're B lenders, they're charging a higher interest rate, but they have a different set of rules. They have higher amortization. Therefore, they're giving you a higher loan amount. And a commercial CMHC, that's very, very different. It's too hard to explain to you now, like in this limited time, how they underwrite, but they typically underwrite in 3 different ways, and they take the least amounts out of the 3, which usually comes out to be the debt ratio, the debt coverage ratio. And, that's what they come out to be. I have heard, however, that some people obtain CMHC mortgage up to 75 or even 80. I have seen that before, but that's so rare. I wouldn't bank on that. So I'd rather you to budget for something much more conservative, much more realistic. All right, so one more question. Don't residential rents change 2 to 3 with the same tenants every following year? Yes, that's right. So we budget for so in our internal model, which is much more complex than this, we budget for the lawful rent increase. Yeah, that's right. Rent control, it's called rent control.
And another thing I would like to say the bit too, a lot of people budget for a rent increase like 2 to 3% increase per year. However, don't forget the expense increase too, okay, every year. So you have to do the same calculation while you're anticipating your rent cash flow every year in the following years.
Great. Okay, if there's no more questions, let's move on. Okay, so this is Oshawa. You notice that the Oshawa price is a bit higher than Hamilton, because Hamilton would be 1.5. Oshawa could be higher. I've seen lower, but mostly I've seen higher just because it's newer. Okay, as I said, like Hamilton was the one with the inventory, Oshawa not so much. So that's why. Okay, so you can easily achieve, let's say 6-unit Oshawa. You can usually achieve like 1,700 for 2 bed and 1,300 for 1 bed. Annual income, you're looking at just over 100K, and you got an expense on the left. So you got your assumption on the left. Okay, now we look to the right. Again, based on the rents and based on the LTV, blah, blah, you understand logic. For a lender, you're looking at about 1.27 million to put down, and you're making a close to $500,000 profit in 5 years. And if you go to B lenders, again, you're positive cash, you're cash flow positive a little bit. You only need like 1.15, and you're making about 350 in 5 years. And if you go to CMHC, your amortization longer, your rate is longer. Your rate is smaller, and you are getting you just need like 900k, something like that, and you're getting about $500,000 in profit in 5 years. Now, Oshawa, though, you could get shittier buildings around the 1.5 mark. Sometimes I see shittier buildings even around 1.3 mark. Just, be aware, like, I understand you have a lot of work to do if you go down that route. The 1.8 is fairly stabilized. You don't have to do anything, right? Okay. So if there's no more questions, let's look at some real case. This is one of our buildings. So see, we actually bought in 2018. And at the time, we bought at a super good cap. And it was like, we literally just got it for $875, right? Original rent was $84,000, and we increased to close to $110, right? So, and these are the real pictures, right? So, like right now, it's probably around 1.7, 1.9, but I would make it very conservative, say it's probably just 1.5. Yeah. Okay. And I'm not sure, at 1.7 or 1.9, what the cap rate would be. So that'd be very interesting. Let me just quickly calculate it right now. So okay. That's a very conservative cap. Like, do you remember I just said, like, I think it's worth 1.5? At 1.5, the cap rate would be over 6%. That's crazy. So this building's definitely worth more than like 1.5. It's definitely between 1.7 to 1.9. That's when you get a more stabilized building, right? Okay, and we're probably not gonna sell until you reach like 2 at some point. Oh, very good question. Somebody just asked, at which point do you decide to exit? So for this building, it depends, right? If you already, like, this building's already at CMHC, it's cash flow positive. We don't have to do anything about it. It just like, and we don't need the money that like in a rush. So the money just in there, and it just operates and operates and operates. So let me put it this way. You know how I lend money out, right? At minimally 10%. So if this building generates more than 10% in terms of ROI, it's better to keep in the building. But if my money generates higher in my lending, I would maybe sell it and just lend my money out. This building is already stabilized at CMHC. It's already cash flow neutral or positive. It's already running, like we don't have to do much about it. So this is probably we'll keep it for longer, over 2 million, something like that. Yeah, until we may find the market's not so good, or the longest CMHC turn is coming up, and we can move our money to some other assets or other lending opportunities where it's going to make more money. Yeah. Okay, this is a Toronto building. It's 11 units. We bought it in 2021 for about 3 million. We increased the rent from 146 to 172, and current market didn't really grow much. 3 to 3.44. We're probably gonna look at exit after 4.5, like after you reach like 4.5. It's cash flow positive, Toronto, prime piece of land, so not really in a rush to get out. Okay, this is a 18-unit multifamily in Hamilton. Purchase, we bought it for 4.7. It really didn't grow much because we bought it pretty much at the peak. Right now it's around 4.7 to 4.8. Original run is 269. We increased to 279. It's already cash flow positive. So I'm not sure if this one is at CMC. Is it at CMC, Shirley?
It is. It is.
Okay, so it's already at CMC.
We actually assumed the mortgage.
Oh yeah, that's right. And I'm assuming it's, if my memory is right, this one is already cash flow positive, right?
Yes.
Yeah, this one is already cash flow positive. So we're just gonna hold it until probably, you know, over, because there are a few units which are lifers and they're old. So, you know, we're probably gonna hold it until we can increase the rent to market rent, and we're probably gonna exit after it's 6 million above. Yeah. Okay, I see some questions. Oh, the Toronto one, we did a bunch of stuff. Natural Toronto rural cash for keys, renovation, stay to lease, bunch of stuff. Yeah. Whatever works. Whatever it works. Okay. Next. Oh, that's it? Okay, great. Whew. Sorry guys, you have to listen to me blah 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 for like an hour and a half, I think. I thought I'm gonna go through this much quicker, but sorry about that. I hope, you know, those are valuable information. Again, what we said is you know, you verify with your own people. We're in this field, so many people will reach out to us afterwards to book a meeting with us, walk through your own personal specific situation, and we can recommend you what we think you can do, you should do. And you know, we also provide lending services, lending opportunities, and we provide real estate opportunities such as multifamily. We also do buy, sell. We offer end-to-end services. How about that? Anyways, so we also have YouTube channels. We also have both English and Chinese channels. So whatever suits you, you know, feel free. And you can reach out to us through this email address, and someone will get back to you. Yeah. Okay. So let me see. Okay. So open mic time. So anybody who wants to raise your hand, feel free. And I'm just gonna look at the chat and see, and just look at the questions. Ask away, please. Somebody asked, is it profitable to get a mortgage for a house and rent it out to others? Oh my goodness, this is such a loaded question. Profitable. Okay, so are you talking about single? Are you talking about and how much down pay are you how much down pay are you putting? What's your interest? What's your amortization? What's your term? And how much you're going to rent it out? How much can you rent it out? You know, if you're getting, if this is the rule of thumb, right? You know, your mortgage is like whatever, let's say 6.5. Your mortgage rate is 6.5 rate, 6.5% now. So if your money, if by renting it out you can make more than that, great. If by renting out you don't even make more than that, then why do you even do that, right? Okay. But I think you should maybe reach out to us to afterwards if you really want to get the comprehensive answer, because it depends on a lot of assumptions, right? Okay. Okay, you learned something great. That's great. Okay, Carlos, that's great. Yeah, honestly, I'm doing this for free so that like somebody can learn something new. So, because this kind of stuff, like a lot of people talk about it, but they themselves do not do it. They haven't done it. Like we did it, so we actually know what's the pitfalls and all of that stuff. So, and this information is very valuable. So, like I'm just hoping that, you know, you get something out of it. That's great. Somebody asking, can you share some case studies of what you divested and why you divested them? Okay, for multifamily, we haven't divested any because we like the model. We budgeted certain we look at our entire portfolio, right? So we divested like condos because we just don't believe in condos, especially in today's environment. We used that money to buy like duplex, cash flow positive, to buy multifamily and to lend money out. They all make more money than what we had before. So anyways, is there a group investor doing a pool for this kind of thing? Yeah. So for example, I have many clients who actually come to me, say, you know, this is their budget, they have this much money, they want to put in multifamily buildings, and if I find a good deal and they like it, they will just pool money together to do this. Most people enter multifamily buildings by pooling funds with other people. Okay. Oh, this person just said 20% down of 800k Canadian detached house. Okay, let me do the math for you very, very quickly. Okay, if it's 800k house and you're putting 20% down, then you are then your mortgage your mortgage is 640,000 a year. So what's your monthly, you need to find out what's your monthly mortgage payment for 640,000 a year. Your monthly payment, I think it's like it's 4,000 or 5,000, something like that now, which means you have to rent, like your rent, and plus you have insurance, blah, blah. I think it's very hard for you to break even at this point. So you just have, like, for example, don't buy a single house, like don't buy a single family, right? Like buy a legal duplex, right? 800k, you can get a legal duplex in Oshawa right now. And your rental income maybe will make you break even, maybe, right? You just have to do that calculation. Okay, David, how much does it cost you to segment into a duplex? What do you mean by segment? So here's the thing, like if you buy a single house and convert to a legal duplex, before pandemic, it cost about 150 for full rental, for full conversion. Right now, it's probably more than that. It's probably budget for 200k to convert a single detached into a legal duplex. Okay. What's a dirty duplex? I'm not sure about that. What I talk about is legal duplex. Okay. Lena asked, condo, you mean apartment buildings? No, condo is different than apartment buildings. I don't believe in condo because cash flow wise, it doesn't make sense and it doesn't appreciate as much as land value. So I personally don't touch condos at all. I only do duplex, triplex, fourplex, multifamily buildings. Yeah. I know a lot of people made a lot of money by assignment. Like I just like by pre-construction, blah, blah, blah. I just don't do that. Yeah, it doesn't give you the opportunity to force appreciate it. It doesn't give you opportunity to add value to it. And you can always only rent to one family. Like it's just like, for me, it doesn't fit my strategy. David, you're saying segment a regular home, reverse it back to sell into multi-units. Well, to convert a single detached into a legal duplex, it's about 200k. I'm guessing on today's market. We did it before pandemic for 140. Yeah. Okay. Open mic. Anybody wants to ask any questions?
I saw someone raised hand. Let me connect.
Hello? 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 Shirley?
Yeah, I just asked him to unmute, but there's no response.
Oh, that's fine. Well, I see a new question here.
Question, yeah.
I think the real estate risk is underestimated. What are some risks to multifamily? Oh my goodness. Okay. So multifamily wise, you have, the city will inspect you every year, right? Your safety measures are much more stringent. Like, for example, the fire staircase, the escape egress, everything. Right? Like it has to be compliant. Your insurance policy is larger too. Also, like with multifamily buildings, you're really getting a mix of tenants. You just have to sometimes deal with people who you normally don't deal with. You just have to recognize a fact. We had people call city, call police, call whatever, and we had people do drugs and like just. It's really the risk with people, right? The building itself, as long as it's structurally sound and as long as your egress and all the fireproof and all the escape routes and all of that, like it's compliant with code, it should be okay. Yeah, as long as the structure is sound. Yeah. I really do think running multifamily, the biggest liability or the biggest risks and the biggest problems you have are with the people, not with the building itself. At least that's our experience. Any more questions? David? Okay, I'm currently looking to buy a multifamily to living with friends in Parkdale, no renters. What other red flags I should be looking for? Oh, sorry, somebody else asked before that. Those people don't pay rents. Oh my goodness, okay. I got a building right now, half of the people don't pay rents. And going to LTB takes about 6 to 8 months before. Now apparently it's faster. You have to deal with lawyers, paralegals, and LTB hearings all day. People who get into multifamily, you have to understand there will be people who don't pay rents for 8 months, and there'll be multiple of them. You have to be able to stomach that. If you can't even stomach that, don't get into multifamily. These are just the basic stuff that you need to face in reality, in case you didn't screen tenants well. Anyways, okay. David, I'm currently looking to buying a multifamily to living with friends in Parkdale, no renters. What are the red flags I should be looking for? Is it retrofit? Is it, as I said, is it retrofit or is it purpose built? What's the maintenance bill looking like? What does the inspection say? How's the roof? How's the window? How's the HVAC? How's the water? How's the plumbing? How old are the infrastructure? And right, things like that. And I haven't come across any building that didn't have like a mouse or just rats or bed bugs, things like that. Like, what are the history, right? So those are the basic things I can think of. Environmental as well, like things like that, right? So okay, new question. Are those who do not pay the rent for several months obligated by law to pay the rent later? There are. Oh my goodness, you should move to the States. In Canada, there's no such thing. Like, honestly, as landlord, we 100% feel we are so powerless and we are the minority. I can tell you that. No, please do not have your hopes high that you're gonna get any money from them. Like, they
afterwards, even you register anything on their credit or whatever.
Like, honestly, landlords
don't expect the money to be paid back anymore.
We often joke we shouldn't just move to the States, because in Canada doing this is a joke. Doing this is a joke. Like, the laws are very much favoring the laws are super much favoring the tenants. Like, I can give you a real example. Like, this is what you're gonna facing. Okay, we had a tenant who was all normal. All of a sudden, they pick a fight with the upstairs tenants, and she landed in jail, like in jail, like a real in jail. Okay, and what happened? You would ask, we'll take possession, right? Oh no, the boyfriend lives in there. The boyfriend's name is not on the contract, but we cannot even evict the boyfriend. We have to wait for 10 months. Hello, right? Like, this is Canada. Welcome. Anyway, so
I guess someone shared the experience too here.
Yeah. However, we do a lot. So like, the chance of us running into those issues is a lot higher than you buying your first one. If you screen your tenants right, and there are many tools to deal with it. Number one is you have to screen your tenants right? Like, when we look at rental income application, we have like 18 checkpoints. Anyways, and then when things happen, there are ways that you can do that. You don't have to wait that 8 months or wait that 10 months. But I'm just telling you the worst case scenario. What we've been through, like, is what we've been through. Knowing what we know today, we probably would have dealt the situation better. But you know, the worst case is, yeah, you gotta wait until, you know, until you can legally kick them out.
Oh, there's one more question, and I think you answered before, but do you want to?
Sorry. Before that, so Yusuf, if you're interested, book a call with us. We're gonna book a call with us. We can probably help you out in terms of defining your strategy and tell you what the ways to deal with that. Don't take what we shared are the stories that stood out, right? Most of the stories is like we were able to deal with it, and you don't have to wait that long. But the shocking ones we do share with you guys. So yeah. Anyways,
there's one more question here. What are your strategies to kick out the people to pay rent?
Okay, it really depends on the circumstance, right? Are they not paying rent because of what? And their payment plan. Can you get them to do a payment plan? Can you pay them off? Can you do cash? Like, can you do cash for keys? Can you do stay for lease? Like things like that. There are many ways you can do. It all depends on the specific situation, right? So yeah. And the worst case scenario, go to LTV. That's worst case scenario. Yeah.
Okay. Is there one more question? Do you still have any other questions? Type it out here.
Sell that building? No, we didn't sell that building. No, we didn't. We did not sell the building. Like, here's the thing: emotive family. Okay, this is what a lot of my clients who are deep pocketed. They're like, oh yeah, I'll buy a multifamily. I'm like, no. I'm like, based on how I know you cannot do it, because if you are not somebody who can swallow somebody who doesn't pay you rent for 10 months, who cannot swallow abnormal utility bills, who cannot swallow jam toilet requests to fix every other day, and you know you have to buy new appliance every single month, you can't. I don't recommend you to get into multifamily. And if you have half of the building not paying, and you can't even deal with that and turn the building around, I don't recommend you to get into multifamily, because you need that skill and you need that patience and you need that resilience in order to own and operate a multifamily. So most people choose to either let other people run it for them, such as us, or they don't buy multifamily, or they hire professionals to do it. So like if you are the type that think, oh, there's a problem here, I'm gonna just sell it, it's not gonna work in multifamily, unfortunately. It's not as simple as condo or single house. Like, it's really not as simple as that. Yeah. Do you hire property management? Yes, we hire property management for all our buildings, and oh my goodness, like managing property managers is a full-time job.
It
like,
is
it's crazy. Like, it is crazy. In the end of the day, you still have to be combing through all the numbers yourself, because when people spend your money, they really don't care.
especially when you hold like multifamily, where a lot of tenants are living there, and you're facing small troubles times 10, times 12, times 18, etc. like that. Like if someone throw something in the toilet, all other units will be affected immediately, and then you have to deal with the request at the same time, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy.
Mm.
Yeah, we even got PM just forwarding emails. Like, all they do is just forwarding emails. Like, they don't do anything. So we end up doing their job, and we have to take care of tenants. Like, just crazy. Anyways. So. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. All my clients are like, Cindy, I just want something passive. So here's the money. You go and operate it. So that's how really we got started. Like I bought my own building and, I bought building on behalf of my clients and we operated, blah, 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 blah. And, yeah, money is made, but I'm telling you, like, it become a full-time job for me. My clients are happy because they don't have to do any of it, but my office have to deal with that every day. Yeah, Lena said, you don't make these investments sound attractive. Haha. Let me put it this way. I'm a very conservative person. So like, I'm an investor myself. I'm not a realtor who lives off realtor commission. I'm not a broker who lives off, broker commission. So for me, when I talk to people, I just want to give them the good, the bad, and the ugly, so they know. So to set the expectation right. If knowing that they still would like to try it, then I think they're the right people. If knowing that they're like, oh no, I don't want that, it's better to know that upfront than getting into something that they don't want and finding that out too late, right? That's also why. That's also why half of my portfolio is lending, because lending is so easy. It's super passive, and I live off income through lending, and I don't have to do any work there, right? Somebody's asking, where did you get the money for your first property purchase? So, okay, to be very honest, like we start with lending. So I have a lot of lenders who actually ask me like where to put their money if like they put enough money in lending, so they want to put something else. So I had to, I guess I had the money first come to me, then I started looking. That's how I started. Probably different story for everybody else, but that's how I started it. People just need a place to park their money. So in addition to lending, they also want own real estate in their portfolio. Yeah. Somebody asked, do you have a session on lending? Yes, we did. Do you want a recording? We can send it to you if you reach out.
Yeah, just email us and type your question, and then we will reach out. Okay.
Yeah. Like lending is so passive. Like it's so funny. Like our office, when we process lending, we're like, yay, easy job. We can get off at 3 today, right? If it's like a real estate operational problem, we're like, oh damn, we're gonna work overtime today. So, sorry. That's one story I'd love to know more about. What story? I'm not sure. Okay. David asked, so you run a REIT? Okay, so we don't run a REIT. We are private equity. So I run joint venture. I also run a GPLP fund, which has multifamily. So some of the buildings you see is in my GPLP fund. So it's a private fund. It's not a public REIT. It's a private fund. Yeah. Okay, my start. I don't know. Treat me for coffee. Okay. Somebody asked, but what are the risks now on lending with the current situation? Okay, so if you're talking about mortgage lending, our mortgage lending LTV is only 60-something%. I literally say there's no risk. So, but we also do legal lending, which is also insured by insurance. So you can assess the risk there. So maybe like, I won't take too much time here to talk about it, but you can watch our, you can reach out and we can give you some material. You can read it, you can watch, then you can book a time with us. Yeah. So lending right now, I don't feel uncomfortable with it. Yeah. Any more questions? Open mics? Oh, I like today's discussion is very active. Sometimes I run these and there's no questions, so I was just like, somebody did somebody raise their hand? I see.
Yeah. I was trying to connect, but it's not unmuted. So.
Oh, sorry. I will answer one last question. Yusuf is asking, what's the main difference between lending and renting? Okay, lending, you don't own real estate. You invest, like you lend money to somebody with a collateral, and you just collect interest. It's so easy. Renting, you have to buy a house and you rent it out. Okay. Lena is asking, who do you lend the money to? So we do 2 types of lending. We do mortgage lending, you lend the money to homeowner, and we do a legal lending where you lend money to lawyer. Okay, so when you lend private lending to homeowner, then you're using house as collateral. When you lend money to lawyer, you're using the case as a collateral, and the case are insured by insurance companies. So we have, if you're interested, feel free to reach out. That's our most popular product actually. So we did many like video materials and educational stuff, so you can read through and book a time with us if you're interested. That's like, that one's so easy. None of the headache that I talk about today. Yes, lending is secured. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Like I think I have more. It's not. I think I actually have more money in lending nowadays than in real estate. Yeah. Okay. Somebody had a. Oh, how are the tax impact for private lending? Tax impact is very easy. Ask your accountant. So it's through lending you are getting income. So always ask your accountant about how to declare income. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, everyone.
Somebody
Thank
raise
you
your hand.
thank you for joining the webinar today. Thank you for sharing, Cindy.
Oh, great. Thank you, everybody. I hope I didn't waste your time. You learned something new today. So yeah, so glad to provide some value.
All
Okay,
right.
great.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.